Oh yeah.
Stop with the questions. Celebrate.
And then they say, is Donald Trump an intellectual? Trust me, I'm like a smart person. Yosemite's one of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water.
Mike Lindell's a conspiracy.
But you haven't. Person, woman, man, camera, TV. They said nobody gets it in order. It's actually not that easy, but for me it was easy.
Amazing. He can't sit down. He's got a burning in his butthole. He's got a fire. He's got a flame coming out of his butthole.
Big, massive dumps.
Oh, I have a term for that. I call it corporate communism.
Somebody sent me a thing this morning where they're talking about putting the vaccine into salad dressing.
You see, this is a simple meme that you would find on the internet, but this meme is very real.
You ain't seen nothing yet until you see the flaming butthole.
Putting us on our knees to China.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
They want to make you drink Starbucks every day from now until forever.
It's Thursday. Welcome to the show. Oh, we got a good one today. Fun show today, as usual. Yes, we're going to talk more about Herschel Walker. Interesting developments there. Can't wait. We also are going to talk about how apparently there is a Republican candidate that thinks voters are flabby. You know, because they don't want to have voting that is more difficult. If they want easier voting. Okay. Interesting. We have Republicans versus knowledge, versus facts, versus libraries. All that stuff. Great, as usual. And well, we're going to start out actually first with a good story. Dark Brandon. That. Oh, interesting. So, with that, why don't we dive into the stories first, and then we'll get to other stories. Let's do it. All right. It appears that Dark Brandon has struck again. Breaking story: the Washington Post has just reported that President Joe Biden is issuing mass pardons for anyone convicted of a federal crime of simple possession of marijuana. So now, look, this is going to affect thousands of people. That's great. He's also urging state governors to do their own pardons in their state prisons for, again, the crime of simple possession of marijuana. Let me give you his statement here. Too many lives have been upended because of our failed approach to marijuana. True. It's time that we right these wrongs. I'm announcing a pardon of all prior federal offenses of simple possession of marijuana. There are thousands of people who were convicted for marijuana possession who may be denied employment, housing, or educational opportunities as a result. My pardon will remove this burden on them. He also called for the administration to expedite a review of whether marijuana should continue to be listed as a Schedule 1 substance. Now, that's also important because Schedule 1, it's in the same, tiers like fentanyl and, the incredibly hard drugs where there absolutely no medicinal value in that substance. It's insane to keep marijuana at the top of the schedule list. Now, that said, so there's some caveats in it, of course. In my mind, look, it's good, but in my view, it doesn't go quite far enough, but I do think it's good. So look, I want to make it very clear that I think this is a good step. I think this is great. I want to make it very clear this is going to help a lot of people. All right. You shouldn't be in prison for simple possession. Not going to happen. Not a good thing, right? Now, that said, is it full decriminalization? No. Is it legalization? Of course not. That said, Biden didn't promise legalization, just decriminalization, and that's fine. That's good. But right now, remember, that hasn't happened yet. It's now in expedited review. So that doesn't mean it will be decriminalized. Yes, a lot of outlets are reporting that this is a first step. And if that's true, that's wonderful. And I'll absolutely take it. I'll give Biden all the credit in the world for doing so. But the pardons are a great step. I can't argue with that. I think, again, credit where credit is due. I am now wondering, of course, how the right is going to respond to this. Now, what's interesting about this and why the left has been pressuring Biden to do this for a long time now. And we'll say yes, decriminalize marijuana, legalize marijuana. It's because it's incredibly popular among voters. You have a majority of the country saying, yes, let's just legalize marijuana. Let's do this already. There's no reason that it should be, a felony. So this was a slam dunk. That said, again, it should be decriminalized completely, and the state should follow suit. But look, since the government is the one that is working towards doing that, my hope is that, yes, more states will begin to take, the additional steps to completely decriminalize marijuana. Because, again, it shouldn't be. And then, of course, we need to end the war on drugs. Because right now the drugs are winning. And so, yes, we end that. And not only is it good for, like I said, the country, because then people can actually go and get help without fear of being arrested, imprisoned, having the rest of their life, pretty much destroyed, even when they do get sober and clean, to not have that drug, offense follow them around for the rest of their lives. That is a good thing, but it's also a really good thing politically because of how popular it is. And so, great step. It's a good move. Credit where credit is due. I can't wait for the right-wing freak out. All right. And by the way, we'll probably have more information on that, including the response from the right wing tomorrow. But with that said, let's dive into more of the Herschel Walker family drama, which is always fun.
First question, do you know the woman that is making this allegation?
I have no idea, but it is a flat out lie. I never asked anyone to get an abortion. I never paid for an abortion.
That was Georgia Senate candidate Herschel Walker denying an explosive report published by the Daily Beast earlier this week, alleging that he had paid for a girlfriend's abortion back in 2009. Now, that report had literal receipts to it, as well as a get well card that Walker had sent to this woman after the procedure. However, since we, of course, live in a post-truth world, Walker, upon being challenged, he kept lying, and he's still lying over and over again, even after his own son, who, by the way, not a great person, not a good person at all, called him out publicly, and also called out the abuse of him and his family, his mother. So I think that's something that people tend to gloss over as well. The horrific things, the threats and the intimidation, etc., that Herschel Walker had done to this family. Now, following the denials, this woman, whom the Daily Beast kept anonymous, went back and said, look, not only did he pay me, did we decide to get an abortion, right, and he reimbursed me for it, but I'm also the mother of one of his children. Amazing, right? So they already had another kid together. Now, after these denials, she told the Daily Beast, quote, yeah, I was stunned, but I guess it also doesn't shock me. I'm shocked, but not shocked. That maybe there are just so many of us that he truly doesn't remember. But then again, if he really forgot about it, well, that says something too. Well, look, that says that he's a serial liar. I mean, I think that's pretty clear. Again, there's a couple different problems here. One problem, having so many, children out there that you can't keep track of them. Well, that's a problem. But it's also a problem when you sit there and lie about it when they come out. Now, the woman who is a registered Democrat, which is no doubt going to be a line of attack that Republicans are going to use. Oh, it's a smear Democrat, operative, blah, 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 deep state. You know it. Whose years-long relationship with Walker had continued after the abortion, told the Daily Beast that her chief concern with revealing her name was because she is the mother of one of Walker's own children and wanted to protect family privacy as best she could, while also coming forward with the truth. Again, the truth being that he's being incredibly hypocritical, trying to stop women from getting abortions, even though he had literally paid for hers. Super hypocritical. All right, now, Walker had also publicly acknowledged that the truth is that the child is his own, and the woman had proved she is the child's mother and provided credible evidence of a long-term relationship with Walker. So even though she's admitted, the kid's mine, but I still didn't actually have an abortion, or anything like that. In fact, here he is going on Hugh Hewitt's show, continued to deny that he not only did not have an abortion, but also, didn't even know who this woman was.
I know it's untrue, and they keep telling me things like that, and it's totally untrue. And I'm not sure why that would be told. I know nothing about any woman having an abortion, and if that had happened, I would have said it, because there's nothing to be ashamed of there. People have done that, but I know nothing about it. And if I knew about it, I would be honest and talk about it.
I know nothing about no abortion, but if it happened, I mean, well, there must be ashamed of. Oh, okay, but hold on here. You called women who get abortions murderers. Anybody who gets an abortion, murder. Well, wait now. Here's the thing. Isn't that the whole stated purpose that you're against abortion, is to stop the murder of babies? Now, look, we know it's not about that. It's not about life. It's about control, right? And it's about getting people to vote for Republicans, because Republicans don't have really anything to offer average people. So they use culture war issues to divide us, to divide the working class, so that you will vote for politicians who will ultimately do the one thing the donors want, which is to cut taxes for the rich and corporations and deregulate business interests. That's it. So that said, if it happens, there's nothing to be ashamed of. I would agree with that. Yeah, there is nothing to be ashamed of. And yet, you're the one out here that's trying to ban women from getting abortions. So if it's one thing, it's another, right? But, all right. Now, the anonymous woman also said that she's been a good sport about this, saying, look, I've been very civil so far. I've kept my mouth shut. I didn't want to keep any, I didn't want to cause any trouble. I stay in the background. But I'm also not going to get run over time and time again. That's crazy. Well, that's the thing, though. What people like Walker will do for power is exactly that. They'll run over anyone in the way. That's what Republicans will do for power. They have already stripped millions of women, trans men and non-binary people of their reproductive rights. Yeah, if you are an average person, if you are not a wealthy, white, conservative Christian man, then the Republican Party is going to throw you under the bus. You're going to be in the crosshairs. Not in a literal sense, but in a figurative sense. They're going to run you over and over again. Even their own voters, who happen to be, lower class, working class people. And yet their own voters, they don't ever see it coming. Because at the end of the day, look, the people who tell them all these things, they manipulate them, and they're all absolute liars who will do anything that they can in order to get the one thing that they want, and that is power. All right, so let's go to how Republican voters are handling this. Could be fun. Republican voters are showing that they do not care about hypocrisy. On the revelations that Herschel Walker has a bunch of secret kids and has urged his one-time girlfriend to get an abortion, get paid for, and sent a get well card afterwards, and then lied about repeatedly, by the way of having, Georgia voters have still expressed their support for Walker anyway. Because, of course, one person, Wanda Bettis, a part-time cook, told HuffPost on Wednesday that, quote, we're all sinners. Okay, sure. But, surely you would be, you would have a negative opinion of someone who continues to lie about these things, right? Yeah, you were busted, and if you owned up to it and be like, yeah, well, okay, so I did do this, but I'm a changed person, accept Jesus, blah, 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 right? Well, again, he didn't do that. He just lies about it. No, it never happened. Never met her. Don't know who that is. Sorry. But yeah, we're all sinners. Now, another Republican voter who identified himself only as Jimmy, who said he's sticking with Walker, even though he considers him a dishonest person. Yeah, sure, the guy lies all the time, but I'm still going to back him. He's very, very dishonest. Okay, but you're going to vote for him to represent you. What makes you think that he's not lying about his policy position? Why can't they connect 2 and 2? Now he says, I'm not crazy about him, but he's better than the alternative, said Jimmy, who's a retired caregiver. Is Walker my favorite candidate? You got 2 choices. You picked the best of what you got. Okay, but in the Republican primary, you had other choices. You didn't have to pick Walker then. You could have picked someone else. Cynthia Berglund, a dental hygienist, said that she had a hard time believing somebody that had kept receipts from that long ago, referring to the former girlfriend. She also wasn't convinced by the angry tweets and videos posted by Walker's son, suggesting that Walker's ex-wife may be responsible for turning her son against his father. Let me just note that Christian Walker is an adult. Now, I don't agree with pretty much anything Christian Walker stands for, but to think that he's not capable of making his own decisions, It's not like we're talking about a 10-year-old, okay? And by the way, he was very much on the side of his father when it comes to the policy positions. Walter Pizhanowski, a retired engineer from Marietta, told HuffPost that he wasn't crazy about Walker, but again, felt it was just a better choice than voting for a Democrat. I knew he had a troubled past, and at a certain point, maybe he saw the light. I know what the other guy has done, and I'm not crazy about him either. Now, again, these are voters, right? Now, it's possible that some of these voters came to that conclusion on their own, certainly. And then there's also possibly the fact that they had come to that conclusion thanks to some of the conservative thought leaders and media figures. So let me give you some examples of that. Marcy McCarthy, chair of the DeKalb County GOP, told the Daily Beast, quote, "Nobody is voting for a father or husband of the year here." Well, that's for sure. And then she added, "The people I'm talking to don't care." Now, Dana Loesch, or Loesch, whatever, she said this. She pretty much echoed that sentiment. Take a look.
How many times have I said 4 very important words? These 4 words. Winning is a virtue. Please keep in mind that I am concerned about one thing and one thing only at this point. So I don't care if Herschel Walker paid to abort endangered baby eagles. I want control of the Senate.
Well, that's it. I mean, that's pretty clear. It's all about power, not about family values at all. But there's more. Karen Walker, Republican political consultant in Georgia and founder of Black Conservatives for Truth, funny, she said, "We don't know if it's true or not, but are you more impacted by a person who paid for an abortion, allegedly, 11, 12 years ago, versus a sitting senator who was pro-choice and will do whatever he can to help other women have abortions too?" Well, yes, actually, because this guy paid for an abortion. Sure, that doesn't affect us, but he is voting to prevent anyone else from being able to get one, with no exceptions for rape or incest. That's an insane position. That is an incredibly draconian, terrible position. That is extremist. That's going to impact far more women in a very negative way. Look, if you don't want to get abortions or take birth control, that's fine. You do that. Have at it. You can believe whatever you want. But once you start taking away rights from living human beings in order to protect a zygote, well, that's when it gets too far. In the name of your religion, by the way. We don't want to live in your fundamentalist theocracy. So now what's fascinating about all of this is that, and you've seen this, this forgiveness, right? Look, I'm not against forgiveness. Okay, people do make mistakes in their past, or they change, become something else. But see, what's going on here is something a little bit different. Oh yeah, he did this thing in the past, but you know, now you agree with me. I mean, you're saying the things that I agree with, so therefore, I'm just going to let it go completely. It doesn't matter if he paid for abortions. And it doesn't matter that he lied about it over and over again. And it doesn't matter that he allegedly abused ex-wives and children, threatened to murder them, put a gun to their head. But we don't care. We don't care about any of that because now, well, they agree with us. He agrees with us. And what we want more than anything is power. And specifically the power to prevent people, in the case of abortions, from being able to do the thing that he himself was able to pay, you know, a girlfriend to do because he wasn't ready to have another kid. And by the way, you know, banning abortion doesn't actually stop abortion. People have means, you know, like anybody Herschel Walker knocks up, he can still pay for it. He's got money. He can make sure that these people, these women can get to a place where they can access abortion just fine. In reality, it's only going to affect people who do not have the means to be able to do so. And I think that's very important. But now, as far as forgiveness, again, this is very selective, right? And it's not just something that happens on the right. It happens regardless of political ideology. But it is still interesting to see this play out with such a highly charged issue. And to see that the voters don't seem to give a damn. And I think that's the biggest change now. I mean, look, this kind of stuff used to sink people's campaigns all the time. In fact, people have had their presidential campaigns obliterated for far less. Remember Howard Dean and the Dean Scream? That was enough to destroy his presidential campaign. Michael Dukakis and like with the tank, more than enough to destroy his campaign. Just the most ridiculous stuff, right? But nowadays, Walker can be a complete and utter hypocrite. He can lie all the time, and that's fine, because voters will vote for him because he's not a Democrat. Because there's a section of this country that believes that, no, Democrats are pure evil. Not just, oh, we disagree with them on certain policy positions. No, that they're evil, murdering children and drinking their brain juice. That's the kind of country that we're living in now. They don't care about anything other than getting power. And they're more than willing to trade their values to get that power. We saw that with Donald Trump's election. So for Democrats, look, if you're trying to use Republican hypocrisy to sway their voters, I got bad news for you. It's not going to work. You're not going to get through to a lot of them. However, the good news is there is a progressive base sitting right here, willing to turn out for you if you could only just deliver for them. All right. Moving on. The media and Dean, the media decided Dean was done after the scream. The Dems dutifully went along with it. That's actually when Dean, back then, when he actually was a little bit more progressive. Not anymore, though. All right. President Donald Trump is weak. And he's a weak person that is apparently obsessed with appearing strong. Now, according to the New York Times, reporter Maggie Haberman, Donald Trump would get triggered anytime that his masculinity was threatened. For example, one anecdote she had recalled seeing is Trump getting mad when people would talk about how much he watches TV. That's interesting. Now, what's wrong? What's wrong with watching a little television, right? Well, I mean, remember, this is a man who took executive time to sit and tweet while watching Fox News when he should have been working. And so everybody remembers executive time. I would love to have executive time. It's like an extra 4 hours of being able to sit around and do nothing. Great. Now, that said, he didn't like when people called him out for it because he interpreted it as a slight on his intellect. People think I'm not smart because I sit there and I watch TV. I'm very, very smart. You have to understand, I'm smarter than any person who's ever known anything ever. Very, very smart.
And then they say, "Is Donald Trump an intellectual? Trust me, I'm like a smart person."
Okay, but what does that have to do with watching TV? Look, I can criticize that. You're lazy. You don't want to work. That doesn't necessarily mean you're stupid. Although there's plenty of other evidence to show that Donald Trump is also stupid. That said, right, there's another incident which recalled Donald Trump obsessing over his virility, as the accusation by adult film star Stormy Daniels about the appearance of his, well, you know,
Tallywhacker.
you remember that, okay? That apparently was a very serious issue for him. And she described it as looking like a toadstool, like kind of a deformed mushroom. Sorry for that mental visual. But another example happened after January 6th, when Fox News asked spokesperson Hogan Gidley if he had felt emasculated after having his Twitter account suspended. Gidley replied, "I wouldn't say emasculated. The most masculine person, I think, to ever hold the White House is the President of the United States." Hogan Gidley. Wow.
Beta male.
Let me just say, that is, I mean, you're going to go up. He is the most masculine person that has ever held the White House, ever. I mean, you look at most masculine, so very, very manly. I can't stop thinking about how manly he is. Hogan, are you all right, dude? That's weird. I'm just saying, very strange. Now, that said, I think Gidley knew exactly what that was going to do, because apparently that thrilled Donald Trump. In fact, Trump had called his former advisor to tell him that, yes, he was correct. Do you remember when you called me the most masculine person to ever hold the White House? I'm just here to tell you that you were absolutely right. Okay, all right. But he then had his aides play the video of Gidley speaking on repeat. Listen, this is the best part. It's where he called me masculine. Very, very the most masculine person ever. Look, rewind it, play it again, play it again. That's got to be the saddest thing I've ever heard. I mean, seriously. and look, let me tell you what. Number one, if you're masculine, you really don't have to go out and seek, this I don't know how to put it. The validation from other people for being, you don't go out there and be like, oh, people calling me masculine. Yes, I gotta have it. And I have to sit there and prove how masculine I am to other people. I have to call myself masculine. No, if you have to call yourself manly man, masculine, odds are, I'm just saying, you're probably not. You have to remind everybody how masculine you are. No, it's sad. Now, the second thing, of course, is that masculine men don't get easily triggered by everything. They don't whine and complain when, somebody might not think they're manly enough. Or, especially though, they don't sit there and obsess about whether other men or anyone else thinks they're masculine enough. Hey, look, that's your opinion, man. I don't really care. No, what Donald Trump is that he's deeply insecure. He's insecure, thin-skinned, and whiny. Nobody whines and cries more than Donald Trump. You go on True Social, that's all it is. Now, finally, one more incident here recalls Trump brandishing photos of scantily-clad women with whom he claimed to have been involved with. He appeared to keep photos on hand to illustrate his boastful rendering of masculinity. Of course. Again, if you have to keep, using props to prove how much of a manly man, masculine man you are, chances are you're really not, and you're just really trying to compensate for something. And yet he was president of the United States. Oh. Okay. There we go. Micro mushroom. Oh, terrible. Just awful. A Republican candidate has resorted to mocking potential voters. According to Heartland Signal, Minnesota GOP Secretary of State candidate Kim Crockett is claiming that people who use provisional ballots are lazy, if not flabby.
And they have the opportunity to prove who they are.
Yeah, and then
it's like a second shot, which I don't know that we owe people who can't get organized. It's the flabby American voter who's indulged, but they would have that opportunity, you know. And there's some good faith scenarios you could come up with where you want people to be able to vote, but the onus is on them.
Yeah.
The state shouldn't be going around, oh, can I help you? You know, I mean, that's your job as a citizen, right?
Yeah. Those spoiled, lazy, flabby voters. Why should we help you when you can't even get your own stuff together? I mean, it's not our job to actually help you vote. No, it's your job. So get up off your ass and stop being lazy. Oh, no, wait a minute. The issue that she's talking about here is provisional ballots. Now, provisional ballots are given to voters who have, their eligibility has been challenged. Okay. So now, most times, these are people who claim that they've already registered. They've come up to vote and realized that, oh, I'm not registered to vote. They're not in the registration forms. Okay. Now, these ballots, remember, these people still are at the polling station. So they have gotten up off their butts. They have done a provisional ballot, and that ballot is not tabulated. It is simply set aside and then counted later to make sure that you are actually eligible to cast that vote. So it's not even counted. It's counted later, and if they can't verify it, then it's thrown out. Now, look, there's a lot of different reasons why this could happen. For one, if you haven't voted for a while, you actually get kicked off the voter rolls. You literally get purged. So now, if you forget to register before that, or re-register, I say, that's a sad day for you, unless, of course, you live in a state that happens to have same-day registration. Now, look, voter purges, those are a problem. Now, that said, there are perfectly fine reasons for, to purge voter rolls. For example, you have state election officials. They do have an obligation to keep the voter records up to date by canceling registrations of people who died or people who are ineligible to vote for other reasons, like being imprisoned or have moved to another state or are no longer legally competent to vote. But as I said, there are other people that just get purged for not voting. So, and they didn't even know it. And that basically makes voting a use it or lose it proposition, which doesn't seem to make sense because, again, of how important voting is. Again, choosing a representation is a very fundamental part of any representative government. You should have the power to choose your representation, especially since the entire thing, the Boston Tea Party is no taxation without representation. Well, everybody gets taxed, right? Well, you should be able to choose your representation. That means voting. So now that doesn't make any sense, right? To then deny people because they decided I'm not going to vote this year or I can't vote this year. Now, especially since there actually are really good ways to keep voter rolls up to date. And for example, the National Change of Address System, which is maintained by the U.S. Postal Service, right? They can easily go and check those records to ensure that people are who they say they are, right? As well as data generated by the Electronic Registration Information Center. That program operates in 30 states so far and identifies out-of-state voter records by comparing the voter rolls of member states to each other and to each state's motor vehicle records. Since these things exist, there really isn't much of a justification for using voter inactivity as a way to purge voter rolls, but they do it anyway. What you're doing when you do that, and then, add in things like voter ID, end same-day registration, etc. Well, what you're doing is you're adding steps as well as making sure that you disenfranchise voters who might be suddenly galvanized to vote in an election by a certain issue. For example, abortion. Abortion's a big issue that has just come up. And a lot of voters are like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. I got to do something about it. I got to vote in this election. And then they find out, sorry, you're not registered. You've been deregistered, purged from the rolls because you didn't vote in the last 2 elections. So that's a big issue, right? And by the way, that's also a huge issue when it comes to presidential primaries as well. There are a lot of states that have very strange, registration deadlines. I think it was New York that had, I think it was in either 2016 or 2020, you had to register a year out from the election. And if you didn't, I mean, you're out of luck. So, I mean, that's really, really problematic. Okay. So, but now understand though, I think that's kind of by design. I mean, Republicans, they've shown that they really don't want everyone to vote. They want to make it more difficult to people or people without means or without time to get to the polls. Look at the Republican voter base. You have mostly elderly men, retirees, wealthy people, middle-class voters. They either have time because they're, not having to work 2 jobs to get by, or they're struggling to find, not struggling to find childcare during the day or having to navigate public transportation, those schedules to be able to get a ride to the polling place, etc. So what also is, a problem in getting to the polls is the fact that Election Day is not a national holiday. There's no time off. There's no exceptions. You can't get to the polls if you're working all day. So, or working, for example, second shift. Now, the end result is that, no, it's not impossible to vote, of course, but it is difficult. It's more difficult than it should be. It's more annoying. It's more onerous. Some people, they got to jump through more hoops, than other people. For example, you have inner cities that have less polling places that are open, which ends up being longer lines. And then, of course, you add in things like voter ID, registration purges, lack of same-day registration, on and on. Get it? Now that, of course, illustrates the need for massive voting reforms to make things easier. Because I believe that should be the goal. I think the goal should be to make this easier, to make voting more accessible. It's already fairly secure. I mean, yes, is there voter fraud? Yes, it's a tiny infinitesimal amount of the votes that were actually cast, right? And we have a system in place that is able to find fraudulent votes, people that vote twice or go to different polling places and locations. I know because a lot of the stories we've talked about of voter fraud are Republicans that have done just that, tried to vote twice or use their dead mother's name, voted in her place, etc. And so we know that the system works. And yet the same people, for the reason of trying to suppress the vote, are pushing for more restrictive voting because they know they can't win. And that's what Kim Crockett is doing. Kim Crockett says, no, let's make voting much harder. We don't care about your lazy, flabby, spoiled voters in America. Oh, you voted. You got it so easy. Well, understand that this is what she thinks about you. And I honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it comes out that Kim Crockett has either used an absentee or a provisional ballot. Again, Donald Trump had used a mail-in ballot. And guess what? He is, of course, railed against mail-in ballots. It's ridiculous. But understand that they don't care about hypocrisy. And by the way, this is one thing, but it's actually the least messed up thing that Kim Crockett has ever said. In fact, she has previously come under fire for questioning whether the homeless, disabled, or non-English speaking people should have the right to vote. Really? The homeless people, we don't want them voting. Disabled people, wow, we don't want them voting. She has also refused to commit to accepting election results, which is also funny. You know, for her midterms that she didn't win, and has accused her opponents of a conspiracy. So it's his opponent or her opponent and a voting rights lawyer, Mark Elias, both of whom are Jewish. She's accused them of being puppets of George Soros. Because of course she did. Oh, it all comes down to George Soros. No, it's ridiculous. Conspiracy theory nutter. Just wants less people to vote. And we all know why. Because Republicans all the way back in the day, Paul Weyrich, admitted, yeah, when more people vote, we lose. So that's why we don't want more people to vote. We want less people to vote. And only those people that we choose. Oh, I mean, they said it. And when they tell you exactly who they are, you believe them. Okay. So now, let's move on. The last story here. Kind of got through them real quick. Ravaging Wolverine says, all the Soros haters want money out of politics, right? Right? Oh, it's funny. They never seem to say that. All right. Right-wingers in Arkansas have filed to defund a local library. So now this is a local group in the city of Jonesboro, Arkansas, called the Craighead Citizens Taxed Enough, have filed paperwork for a ballot initiative to defund the Jonesboro Public Library. That's right. Arkansas Times reports that the group filed paperwork with the State Ethics Commission that would slash the library's tax revenue in half, which would likely force it to close down completely. Paperwork filed with the State Ethics Commission is a step toward allowing the group to raise funds for an anti-library campaign. Imagine being anti-library. Well, you know what we got to do? We gotta go after them book learnings. We hates them book learnings. Now, why? What's the point? Well, according to the Arkansas Times, the group's going after the library's funding because of a single gay pride display in the library window more than a year ago. Oh, that's what happened. Of course. Look, you want to talk about cancel culture? Well, here's cancel culture. Yes, let's cancel the library because it had a pride display in it. We don't like that. You know what? How about the snowflakes suck it up and maybe instead of trying to cancel knowledge, you do something to actually help your community? I know, weird idea, right? Oh, yeah, it's very strange. Now, look, the Jonesboro Library is not the only library to face the threat of defunding. We've had conservative groups all over the country that have been doing this, that have been targeting places of actual learning, not just libraries, but schools as well, and coming up with the weirdest stuff. For example, Colorado, also, I believe, Minnesota, Michigan, all over the place. You've had this weird war against furries in classrooms. Oh, you know what they're doing? They're putting the litter boxes in the classrooms for the students that, to use. Yeah, they're going to use in the classroom. The litter boxes identify as cats. Where did you hear this nonsense? Yeah, I heard it from Facebook. Yeah, that's what happened. But wait, heard it from Facebook. And a lot of these same right wingers are like, "Goddamn Zuckerberg, controlling the world." What? None of this makes any sense. And there's no reality to it whatsoever. There's no litter boxes in the classrooms. And so, now that said, there was a pride display in the library window, But still, that seems ridiculous to try to defund the library from that, just over that. Now, another example here is Jamestown Township, Michigan, who overwhelmingly voted against a measure that would have raised revenue to continue funding the town library after local activists accused it of grooming children to have sinful desires. So let's get this, let me get this straight, okay? Grooming children by letting them read books. Well, you don't understand, those books, they're pornographic. Do they have any porn pictures in them? No. No. Oh, but it's a gay person's in it. That's what it is. It's a book involving a gay person. That's what it is. Okay, so you think that reading a book involving a gay character or several gay characters, you read that book, that's going to make you gay. Is that what they're saying? But now hold on. Let's reverse the logic here, right? So how come? Because look, gay people have always existed. Not a new invention. Okay? It's not a new thing that has taken over. Gay people and trans people have always existed in the entire history of humankind. Now, why didn't all the books and the movies and the TV shows that showed nonstop heterosexual people, heterosexual relationships, cisgender people, why didn't being constantly bombarded with all of that make any of those gay people straight? It's a valid question. Because if you are a person who believes that all you need to do to be gay or trans is to be aware of the existence of gay and trans people, then why wouldn't it work the other way around? Why wouldn't all the gay and trans people be turned straight by a straight book? It doesn't make any sense. Their logic is illogical. Why do gay people exist when the overwhelming amount of literature and entertainment for so long has been overwhelmingly heterosexual and cisgender? They can't answer that question. Obviously, because thinking is not their strong suit. Okay? Which is ironically why libraries are so important. But here's the thing. Going to Jamestown. The conservative Christian, I should say the conservative group, right, said, well, they admitted what it was really about. This is Amanda Ensing, an organizer for that group. She said it was, quote, not a political issue. It's a biblical issue. And I'm supposed to care why? Well, so the Bible says, nope, don't care. Don't give a damn. I don't believe in it. I don't believe in it. Why should I follow something that I don't believe? Why should I follow your religion? I mean, it's not like you don't have the right to believe in whatever you want. You do. But that doesn't mean you can enforce your beliefs on everyone else. You can shove your religion down everyone else's throat. Take away public services that are necessary because those public services decided to be a little bit more inclusive to people. And look, this is a library, not a church. And there's a big difference between the two because it turns out you actually learn facts at a library. I know. And look, that's actually okay because the point of religion is not to learn factual information. It's actually to be about faith. And anybody who's a religious person, you know that. It is about your faith. It's not about factual information. So, look, and by the way, libraries do have a fiction section too. And the church is a fiction section. But overall, look, I'm tired of the butthurt chuds. Okay, I'm tired of them coming in and basically cry-bullying their way, to force everyone to follow the rules of their religion. No, we live in a secular country, meaning that you can have your religion, you can have your own personal beliefs, but you cannot discriminate against people who do not share those beliefs. Now, look, that's a little bit different than if you're to evangelize and you say, hey, my religion, it offers this, it offers community, and here's, we're going to do a luncheon and we're going to do a charity drive and all that stuff. Oh, that's wonderful. No problem with that. But when you're going out there and you're literally trying to shut down places of knowledge, to shut down, I guess, what you would be considered competition, I think that's wrong. In this country, we have the freedom to believe, but we also have the freedom not to believe. And we all have the freedom to exist in the same place together without interfering with each other. That said, right, these people seem to have such a sense of victimhood since they no longer are able to control everyone else's lives and make people to believe the same things they do. I mean, and they're actually getting together and trying to do so through defunding and these kinds of things. And by the way, this is going to affect far more than just people who love to read books. There's a lot of things that libraries do now that isn't just about books. They offer many services, including free internet access, don't have it, research tools, resources, quiet study spaces for adults and as well as high school or children, college prep, tutoring, job prep, cultural events, programs, classes, writing workshops. There's a ton of things here. But all of that is in danger of being shut down by angry, closed-minded religious zealots who are actively out there trying to hurt and destroy, to take away amazing resources for people and communities. Not to mention, these are great places for kids to go to try to stay out of trouble. I can only surmise from their reaction that they feel that knowledge, that information, that facts are a danger to them. They fear it. They hate it. They don't like the reality. Anything that does not conform to their worldview has to go. So look, if you value facts, knowledge, books, reality, then you might want to get involved and try to put a stop to these groups. Again, not to try to take their, freedom to practice their religion. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants to take away their freedom to believe whatever the hell they want. But we're trying to protect our freedoms to access information. That's it. Because if we don't stand up to these people are going to take us back to the dark ages, one burnt book at a time. And let me tell you, if you're on the side of burning and banning books, you're not on the right side. You're on the wrong side. Chris Green says, my local library was the site of a meeting of us folks who were trying to improve our German. Yes, it's another thing that they offer is, services for you to learn other languages. It's an excellent point. I mean, look, we can't allow these people to take away this kind of stuff, to take away access to knowledge. And it's insane that we live in a country where there are people that are actively trying to do that. It's horrifying. Absolutely horrifying. And I don't think we're ever going to be able to reason with these people because reason does not exist in their heads anymore. It's gone. It's been replaced by nothing more than just dogma. Can't get through to anybody. Horrifying isn't a strong enough word. I know. Some libraries are maker spaces too. Yeah, again, libraries super important. As Slink McGee points out, things that make dumb people mad are smart people. Right. All right, well, that's really all I got. First, I want to do some super chats here, read a few from viewers. Ronnie Lama Richardson says, cancer-free after 23 months of treatments. Woohoo, cheers to living longer. Congratulations, that is excellent news. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Amazing, amazing news. So I'm so glad that things have worked out for you and that you are cancer-free. It's awesome. So Ronnie Lama Richardson, that's awesome. So I can't be even more happy for you than I am now. So that's wonderful. No Man Sham says, dank Brandon rises. My harvest looks insanely healthy. Eagle States rock. True. Dank Brandon, that's good. Oh, I love that. I love that. And Monty Darno, thank you. Welcome back, by the way. Lots of love, Jeff and chat. Thank you. Lots of love to the mods as well. You, Monty, and all the other mods. All right. Let's go to Twitch. Just, the new follows. Thank you for the new followers. Appreciate that. All right. That's all. That was an incredibly fast hour. Why don't we raid into reactions? Barry Sager says, GOP wants to keep them stupid, enlightened, educated people. Vote better than they be out for. Well, everybody, thank you again. Please like and share the stream, the videos, and all that stuff. Love you all, and remember, change begins with you. Good night, everybody. See you tomorrow.
Oh yeah, they are about to find out.
It's not a salami sandwich.
And why their due process rights are being so flagrantly and horrifically violated.
No.
Give me a break.
You're kicking me out the door. You're kicking me out the door.
Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels